Hello.
Hi, Sarah. Thanks for joining me today.
Oh no, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. I was just looking at your special and watching a bunch of videos on your YouTube. I have to say, and don't take this the wrong way. You got to choose one lane. You can't be good at comedy and good at music.
Well, I disagree.
I mean,
Respectfully, I disagree. Well, I actually get that kind of comment a lot, especially when I first started comedy.
mm,
I would do shows, and I would have people come up to me after the show and be like, it's so funny. I really wasn't listening to your jokes because I enjoyed the music so much." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's not really what I was going for, but I appreciate the part comment, uh, um, compliment, but yeah, so it happens."
No, I mean it's I'm not one of those people. I can take everything at once. It was like my favorite show, one of my favorite shows of all time is Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. And
Ah,
uh
Rachel Bloom is a huge icon of mine. I love her so much. She is actually probably one of my biggest, influences.
mm,
Her Bette Midler is also a big influence of mine, but Rachel Bloom is huge. I love Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
yeah, and see, and I can definitely see that in your work because not only obviously it's good and it's funny, but if those two are working and congruous with each other in the same way that
Mhm.
Weird Al can do type of magic, then I think you're really pulling off exactly the type of a magic trick that a lot of comedic musicians don't have the chance to do, or like they struggle to
Yeah.
do. And it's just I mean, I don't know even where you begin because it looks like when I was on your YouTube page that some of those songs that I'd heard in the special had appeared before,
Mhm.
and whether they've changed over the years or not, the core values of them have stayed the same, and that's really a testament to how well you wrote them.
Well, thank you. And I was concerned about that because, when I was putting this hour together, I really wanted to put my best material out there, being the biggest platform that I've ever been on for my more eyes that aren't on social media to possibly see.
Mhm.
Um, and music videos are very different from live performance, obviously.
Right.
But that's kind of what I focused on over the past 3 years is musical videos, putting stuff out on Spotify, audios, and then social media, small clips. This was a way bigger thing than I've ever done before.
Mhm.
I mean, I've been performing live on stage for a really long time, but not any sort of filming or television before. So it was a brand new experience. But I appreciate, yeah, the fact that I have released some of these that are on the special previously, but if you know them, you're going to see something different on this special from those songs and bits. So
Yeah.
I'm very happy with the outcome of it.
I also was taken aback by how many people were there from your social media presence, and obviously it is a big, substantial presence. And
Yeah.
oftentimes when I see that with some YouTuber who wants to be a comedian who's never done stand up before, obviously you've put in the work, but they'll go on a tour of like 5 or 6 cities and they'll have sold out shows, and it's people that are there just to see the YouTuber, not necessarily to see their comedy. Was that
Right.
ever something you thought about where it's like, I don't know if someone's just here for me or for the music or for the jokes, but that they weren't there for the whole package. They just want to be able to say, like, I'm seeing this person I've seen on TikTok who has 1 million likes.
Yes, definitely. When I first started touring before this special, which was basically my, trying to figure out the hour that I wanted to do, I went on tour. I think I did maybe like 16 cities, comedy clubs and theaters. And I do feel I first of all, I was surprised that anybody wanted would pay money to come see me. That was like aghast. It's very humbling because I have been performing since I was very, very young and trying to put out original material. And it was just over the past 3 years since the pandemic that I've gotten some, I like to call it my mediocre rise to stardom on social media, because you're right. It is not, social media is not real life. It is so fake. Numbers are fake.
Mhm.
The fact that I have 2.4 million followers on TikTok does not mean I'm going to sell 2.4 million tickets
Yeah.
on a tour. Like that's just not it. But when people did come out, I I do what I like to call real songs, that music that are not comedic.
Mhm.
And so one of those I got really popular on TikTok was Savage Daughter. It was a cover that I did. And it got really, really popular. Like it has, I think it's up to like 25 million streams on Spotify
Mm.
all over the world. And so when people come to see my live shows, they are expecting me to sing that. And I do.
Right.
And I do. Even in my like it's not in my comedy special just because those weren't that's not an original song, and there was a whole lot of stuff that you have to go through to do covers
Right.
uh, on film and TV and stuff like that. But when I do live, my show is a mixture of comedy and music,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Not just comedy music songs, but also like songs, and I like to weave that into the show order, and that's kind of where I get my Bette Midler vibe, where she is known for Roses and Wings Beneath My Wings, but she is a comedian. If you've ever seen her live special, or if you've ever seen her live when she was performing in the late 80s into the 90s, she is a comedian, like in
Mhm.
her own right. And so, but she never picked a lane. And it's the same way you started. Like, I am not picking a lane either. I'm going to do it all. And if you like one thing of mine, then maybe you'll like the other thing of mine. And if you don't, that's okay too. But yeah, having people come off of social media and expect one thing and get to see another thing is a very unique situation.
Yeah.
It's a fine line that we walk, I think.
Yeah. My first memory of Bette Midler was from a season 4 episode of The Simpsons where I think Krusty gets canceled, and she's one of the special guests for the last episode. And that was
Yeah.
like, imagine like in the early 2000s, a young me watching that and being like, this, oh, Bette Midler must be a huge star. And now that's all I can picture is this cartoon version of her. Obviously, I've seen her do some stuff
Yeah.
before, but man, that's I do enjoy Bet, and you're right. She is a performer who can do comedic things and also do music, and it's I think that's more, and I hate to make this gender based, but that's really something that a lot of women performers can do. Going back to Rachel Bloom, and makes it look effortless, like the way
Yeah.
that she's able to weave comedy and music together in a
Right.
45-minute show along with the writers and producers. And in the same vein, Bette Midler, and we've seen it with even who's the woman from 30 Rock, who starred opposite Tina Fey,
Oh, yes.
Jane.
Oh, what is her name? She is brilliant.
Yeah,
A
it's
brilliant singer, brilliant performer and comedian. You're right.
Jane
What is her name?
Krakowski.
Yes, Kurkowski. That's right.
Yes.
Ah, she's so great. And I love 30 Rock.
Yeah.
She's brilliant on that. But yeah, she's on Broadway. She's been on Broadway for decades. And so, yeah,
It's so great, and I think that is a defining aspect for people, for women who are able to be on stage and have these giant
yeah.
presences. I guess I don't know if that's the right term
No, I get what
for
you mean.
yeah, like be able to do that. I mean, I can't, and it's never to a detriment. I never feel as though this person is using one skill to buoy themselves over the other and like to get past it. Especially
Right.
like when something in let's go to Broadway when there's a Broadway show that can make me laugh like Six, like it's or Mean
Oh,
Girls.
Six
It's
is so good.
yeah, and
Yeah, exactly.
I'm always taken aback by something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, I know that you're not in any way to put it out there, but like men have been doing it too. Tenacious D,
Oh, right.
uh,
Yes. Yeah.
you know, there's actually an up and coming group called Wolves of Glendale. I
Okay.
don't know if you've ever heard them, but they're a comedy group. But it's all musical comedy, but their music is just good, and they're it's this misconception that in comedy, if you're doing musical comedy, your comedy has to be better than your music. And I just disagree. I think it like there are plenty. Carol Burnett is another really big good example of, funny and music. You don't have to compromise between the two.
Hmm.
And that's kind of what I want to put out there as much as possible, that I am first and foremost a musician. I am new to comedy. I'm new to writing comedy. I've only been doing it for about 10 years. So I understand that my strong suit is music, and that's not going to go away. Like I want to put out good sounding music that, even if it is comical, you can put it on and listen to and be like, ah, shit, this is good. Like I can jam to this, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and but I understand, like, coming from the realm of just pure comedy, that is new.
Hmm.
That is a new concept.
Right.
And I hope to be a part of that rise, I guess.
When did you, so 10 years writing, adding comedy to this, or
I
writing
just I
comedy?
just gotta say, your cat in your back is just killing me right now. He's just chilling.
This
And he's
is
just like, I want to be a part of the conversation.
so this
I'm
is
into this.
ridiculous, but there's a dog down here too.
He knows.
And they're fighting because they're very hungry right now. And he's crawling under the desk, and I'm just having so much trouble corralling both. So if you see me like reaching down here, I'm not Jeffrey Tubining
Okay,
anything.
right. No.
So
Oh my gosh. Well, I wasn't thinking that, but now I am. So
oh
thank you
gosh.
for that.
I don't want to do that. No, don't start that rumor. But adding comedy into like writing comedy, what spurred that for you? Is it because you are a naturally funny person? You have that charisma about yourself?
Well, I am Jewish, so that's partly where it starts. No, but I I my main gig is dueling pianos. Have you ever been to a dueling piano bar?
No, but I've definitely heard tale of them.
Okay, so I live in Las Vegas, and that's my what I call my main shtick, my main gig. I work there 3 nights a week at a bar called Bar at Times Square at the
Mhm.
New York Hotel and Casino. And I've been doing dueling pianos for about 12 years now. And a big part of dueling pianos is, riffing with the audience,
Mhm.
improv, comedy driven. Um, and they have these things called call downs, where if someone's celebrating a birthday or an anniversary, you'll call them down to the pianos, and we'll like do a song with them and kind of poke fun at them, or just have fun. It's very bar burlesque esque, so it's sometimes raunchy on the side. But there were some bits that have been written over the past, I don't know, 3 decades since dueling pianos has been a thing, and it was mostly written by men
Mm,
because it's a very heavy male dominated field. There's only about 400 people in the world that do it, and
okay.
I think 300 of them are men. So there's only about 100 women that do the job. And so I noticed that a lot of the bits were written from the male perspective. So I started writing my own bits.
Mhm.
And that's kind of where the comedy writing came from. And I realized that I was kind of good at it. And I just kept going. And, now I've got over, 60 songs written original comedy songs, and
Wow.
it all stemmed from like the dueling piano vibe and pushing me into writing my own stuff. So
Hmm. What about singing and performing? When did that happen for you? Was it at I assume a young age? You were just like
yeah.
brought to a piano and you're able to just do it.
Well, I grew up in a musical household. My mom is retired now, but she was an elementary school music teacher for 35 years.
Hmm.
And she and my dad put me on stage at like 6 years old. So I was doing like mother daughter banquets, I was doing pageants and blah, 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 and all that stuff. My first job was at Busch Gardens at
Okay.
11. It was like a
Wow.
rock and roll themed show. But yeah, that was my first like paid performance gig. And I just never looked back from there. I've been on stage since. It's
Wow.
a part of who I am. So I can't, there's no getting out of it. There's no plan B for me, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing dueling pianos, and if you're able to
Yeah.
say, "Hey, out of 400 people, I'm one of the people who can do it in the world," then
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, by all means. What we were off on a musical tangent earlier. What are your
Mhm.
favorite Broadway musicals, or just like any type of music properties? What do you find yourself listening to?
Well, I grew up wanting to be on Broadway. I mean,
Mhm.
obviously, I've been on stage since I was very little, so musical theater was really big in my life. I did kind of lose that dream a little bit because I had a vocal issue. Um, uh, it was, I guess, it's been about 15 years, and I just don't have the stamina anymore for like Broadway,
Mm.
unfortunately. But I love listening to Broadway, and maybe one day someone will write a musical just for me in my vocal range, and I'll be able to do it. Like, the sky's the limit. I'm not one of those people that be like, I'm never gonna do it because it's over. But uh, maybe one day. But my favorite musicals are The Last 5 Years by Jason Robert Brown. Love that musical. I love Six. It's
Mhm.
brilliant. I love the storyline and putting the women in front of the story of Henry
Yeah.
VIII. I just love it. It's the music's awesome. This book is awesome. I grew up with my favorite being Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat. I
Okay.
love the narrator
Yeah.
in that. So I mean, I love musical theater, but I just love music in general. I'm a big Lady Gaga fan. I think she's
Okay.
brilliant.
Mhm.
Um, Out of all of Lady Gaga, like I think Joanne, her album is just the most brilliant thing she's ever done.
Really?
Um, oh yeah,
Okay.
I love pop and art pop Lady Gaga, but Joanne was just special because you
Mhm.
could tell that she wanted to do that. Like
Yeah.
artists have to do a certain genre to get seen and popular and be all weird. Not saying that they don't want to do it, but they have to get to this level. And then when they get to this level, Beyonce, Cowboy Carter is a prime example of that too.
Yeah.
Uh, Now they're at this level. Well, they can do whatever the hell they want at this point. And Joanne is that. Cowboy Carter is that. I mean,
Mhm.
I am such a fan of Cowboy Carter. I think it's brilliant. Um, I love it so much. But yeah, I love Joanne. I don't know. Is
Y
that enough?
yeah, I mean, that's perfect.
I could I could go on. I
I
could go on.
yes, I love music. I have, like, 3 music subscriptions right now,
Okay.
Sirius XM, YouTube Music, and, Apple Music, and so I listen to just a shit ton of music, but there's a podcast, not to plug anything else, but, there's a podcast I listen to from the New York Times, music editors, the, Popcast, and, when you said Joanne, the reason I reacted that way is because they hate that album, and I think it's fine. Like, yes, I
Oh,
love a good switch in a direction for an artist, not just a pop artist, any artist. Like, U2 is my
hmm.
favorite band, and
Really?
yeah, yes, they are, and they
Did you see
changed.
them in Vegas at all?
I I'm not kidding when I tell you this. I was saving up money. I was like truly going to do it. I was gonna fly down. I'm in Atlanta. I was gonna fly on a
Okay.
Saturday morning, hang out in Vegas all day, go see the show, and fly back on a Sunday. And I could never find a ticket in my price range. Like truly, I was
They
willing.
were they were ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah. Like
The
I saw
prices
Taylor
were
Swift.
crazy.
I saw
You
Taylor
did?
Swift in Nashville, twice. I've seen her
That's
twice.
awesome.
I saw her on the Reputation tour, in, San Jose,
Okay.
California, and, Nashville. I drove there for the last tour, Eras tour, and I for both tickets, I spent over $400, and I was elated, and I'm willing to go the extra mile. I just
Mhm.
need someone to meet me halfway in the middle with the ticket prices.
I totally get it, and it really had to do with them opening the Sphere.
Mhm.
I really do believe that, and Vegas is just out of control with the ticket sales because they're pushing people to have to travel.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing. But I actually did get to go see it. It was pretty incredible. The
Ugh,
the the atmosphere just in general was like, holy crap, this
yeah,
place is unbelievable. But
yeah.
sorry, you were talking about how you two switches
Oh, no,
for
yeah,
that.
yeah, they switched too, and, it's just I think people have to recognize that, like you said, when they're at that scope, when you're Beyonce scope, when you're, Lady Gaga, when you're U2, then you should
Yeah.
be able to switch, and even if you're smaller, if you're Faye Webster, you should be able to
Oh,
go, "Hey, or Phoebe Bridgers, "Hey, I enjoyed making this indie music, and now let me take a beat switch and go over to this genre for a little bit." That's what
yeah.
Big Thief did. They made kind of a country album after their
Yeah.
indie rock debut.
Yeah. Yeah. I respect it, and I get people, fans, and fans are freaking loco. Like it's I, I don't have that gene of like super fandom.
Right.
It's like something in your brain that makes you like think that when you are like a fan of a person, it's all
Mhm.
about your feelings of the fan. But that's what music does. It makes you connect to it in a way that nobody else can, and that's what makes it special.
Yeah.
But when fans become fans of an artist for doing one thing and then the artist switch, I feel like fans feel like lied to. And it's like, well, why? Why can't you just think that this is also something that they can do? But I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh, but you're right. Like when an artist gets to a point where they can just be like, I'm gonna do this now, and I don't give a shit what you say. I'm
Yeah.
doing it because I like it. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I also, to I wanna go back to 6.
Okay.
I you mentioned I have 2 friends, they are engaged, and they went to New York to go see the show, and these women, it's very funny, these women, they saw the show, they come back, and one of them really loved it, the other one hated it because it was so
Really?
short. She was mad at the
Oh.
length. Does that ever
Oh.
is that something that you thought about when you saw it? Because it's like, what, 89 minutes long? No intermission?
Yeah. You know what? I didn't even think of that.
Yeah,
Um, that's probably why it was so easy for them to get on cruise ships so quickly. I never even thought of that because cruise ships they they take musical theater shows and they
condense them.
condense them. So, but Six was on Broadway and then immediately on cruise ships. Uh, I didn't even think of that. No, I mean, I guess I feel like wouldn't that be a good thing? Because our attention spans are like something shiny. Like if
Yeah.
it's quick, then I don't know.
Mhm.
89 minutes is not that short either.
Yeah, it's a length of
It's
a movie.
and 90 minutes is a basic Las Vegas, show as well. So
Mhm.
what are other musicals? Are they like 2 hours? Like
Yeah,
two and a
I
half?
saw Hamilton, here a couple of weeks ago, and it was, I don't know, I think it was maybe 220, something like that. I think Les
Okay.
Mis might be longer. But yeah, I think people fully expect to get like an hour intermission and then an intermission and then like another hour or so.
Okay. Uh, I literally didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, with 89 minutes, you don't have to take a pee break. So what's the
Right.
intermission for?
I
That's what the intermission is for, to let
yeah,
people go piss, you know? So,
yeah.
oh.
My before we get off of musicals, my very first musical was Rent. And
Ah,
and
love it.
I have so many issues with the show, but I enjoy the music and I'm glad it's made, but now my favorite one is Les Mis. And I will just go to the ends of the earth in order to see this show. It's coming here this summer and I'm gonna go see the
Okay.
show. I guarantee it I will, but I love Les Mis so much. It's a great tale, and I think it can last for decades and decades to come.
Agreed. Did you like the movie?
I like the movie Les Mis.
Okay.
I like Russell Crowe singing. I understand a lot of people do not like the entire
It
thing
it
or some
it
parts.
was a choice. It was a choice. They made a choice. Everything is a choice. I liked it too. I loved Anne Hathaway in it.
Mhm.
I'm a big fan of hers. But yeah, Les Mis is good. But you know, I've done Rent before. I played Maureen in a tour of it, and I love the show because I got into it, and I love the movie. I love the music. But yeah, it's getting a really bad rap lately from the Gen Z generation watching it and being like, this is not okay. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. It's not. But in the 90s, it was like mind blowing. Like it was
Yeah.
unheard of. It
Mhm.
changed the course of musical theater all for like ever. So, but it's just like, but then that brings up the topic of conversation of like, does art have to stand the test of time
Right.
of stuff like that? Because, like you said, Les Mis, the story itself, I agree with you. It is going to be good from beginning to end, like
Mhm.
because of the story. Rent, and it's because of the time period that it was in and things that were like obviously not okay, but were accepted
Yeah.
in the moment. Do, does that make what do we do with that? Do we throw the baby out with the bathwater, or do we share in the appreciation and then just move on? Or like, does that mean Rent is over? Ah, I can't. The millennium me will not let me.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's a hard line
Yeah.
because we,
It's like comparing Michael Jackson songs. He was a bad person. I just can't listen to him anymore because that's all I'm going to think about. But then,
yeah,
if a Jackson 5 song comes on, I go, "Well, he was a child. He didn't do anything then." It's
right,
that's I think that's the problem with this TikTok generation is they didn't live in that time period and yes, Rent is in a capsule, and so is the
yeah,
first gen of Pokemon, the first generation of Pokemon games. Obviously, they differ from the what are we in the 12th gen or something, ninth gen rather, of Pokemon that where you can run around an entire world, whereas you were following the rails of that Pokemon game, and that's
okay,
why you know six as well. It can last forever, until women get the same parity as men and then that
yeah,
moves on to the next gender of that gender trying to get the same kind of results for that men and women have and it's just
right,
we can't if we yes it's okay to question everything for these kids but at some point not every answer needs to be as in depth, not every answer needs a Medium post or an opinion piece on the New York Times or on a Tumblr page, I think, if Tumblr's still
hmm
around. So I think we just kind of
Reddit. I think Reddit is now.
yeah,
That's
Reddit.
whatever.
Yeah, we just have to move past it and then talk about it, acknowledge it, and then go, okay, this doesn't need that deep of a conversation.
Right. Well, I think that that kind of mindset is going to affect art in the future.
Mm,
I in a good way. In a good way, in good way and bad way. I mean, we're now thinking about the long term uh I can't think of the word right now. The reciprocation is not the retaliation. No, crap, I can't think of the word. I hate when I do this. Um things that happen because of a action consequence. Oh my
consequence. Okay.
gosh.
Yes.
Oh, we're thinking of long-term consequences now,
Mm,
and like when we are creating things, which is a good thing.
right.
We're not just focusing in on the moment at time, like down the line, what is this going to look like?
Yeah.
Someone's going to see this in a decade. What are they going to think of me? That, or think of me, think of my gender, think of my generation, think of all this stuff, which I could be a bad and a good thing, because that, that puts you kind of in a box.
Mm,
And, with creativity, you never want to be put in a box, but there are consequences to our actions
yeah.
and what we put out into the world. And that is what I love about the TikTok generation and the Gen Z generation, is that they're being like, this is just a consequence. I
Yeah.
mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So deal with it and either learn from it and move on.
Hmm.
So
I just want to, you can go ahead and finish.
no, I was finished.
Okay. Well, I mean, uh, we mentioned the TikTok generation. This kind of popped into my head. You're a very creative person, and like you just mentioned, you don't want to be put in a box. Has putting stuff out on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube or any one of these platforms, has that, do you feel like for you as a person who makes art and music and comedy, does that, do you feel stifled by it? Do you feel like there's more opportunities or just so many opportunities that it does make you somehow laser focused and which is makes you unfocused? I don't know. How does that make you feel?
Social media is a fickle mistress.
Uh-huh.
God, it is a very fickle mistress, and it can make you feel so good and like you are on the edge of the world and you can do no wrong. And then on the flip of a dime, it can go at your throat, and it can get scary.
Mhm.
People eat, take what you say and misunderstand, or they understand exactly what you say and they just hate you for it. Um, I it 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 does put me in a box, because, but like I said, in a good and bad way,
Mm.
it does stifle my art, because I know some of the art and bits and things that I come up with just won't work on social media. Either they're too long or they're too uh, descriptive. Length is a really big thing, especially with my music comedy, because I don't put out full songs on TikTok or Instagram. You can
Okay.
find them on YouTube, like music videos and stuff like that, but they don't really work on the short form social media stuff.
Mhm.
So yes, it does put me in a box, meaning that I have to create shorter clips instead of somebody getting the whole picture of what I wrote, if that
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And then, but on the good side, I put a lot of thought and time into what I want to put out into the into the universe, the internet universe, that shows who I am and what I believe and what I
Mm.
think.
Okay.
So, in that way, it does put me in a box, because things that I grew up thinking were okay or normal to say, do, joke about, whatever, I have learned over that they're not. And now I'm changing my mindset of what is comedy, what is funny, what do I want to say with my music and
Yeah.
with my comedy? Who do I want to affect? Who do I want to uplift, and who do I want to call out? So in that way, the box is helpful in my personal just growth as a human being.
Yeah.
And that's why I like it so much, but it's also a lot of work, and it's it the algorithm is constantly changing, and it hit
Mhm.
or miss. I have absolutely no idea at this point what does well and what doesn't do well. People ask me my opinion all the time because I have such high numbers on social media. Like, how did you do it? I was like, I don't know. I literally have no idea.
Yeah.
I put it out there and people liked it, so I kept doing it. And that is literally it. I can give advice about what I did, but what I did might not work for somebody else.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's wild, but it's the
Gosh.
times that we live in.
I can't believe such an answer came from a woman who sang in her comedy special about holding in a fart during sex. It's just,
That's just but that's just real, man. You
yes.
know,
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's a if a woman has if anybody on it, not just women, if anybody has told me that they were having sex with someone and then all of a sudden they were like, oh, is this a fart? Like, is this good? Is this bad? I don't know. It's just it's a blanket statement. And
Yeah.
if you say you've never done that, then you're a virgin probably. So that's probably what that means.
Yeah. 100%. Everybody who's just, no, I've never done that before. Like, okay, come
Yeah.
on.
Liar. Lies.
We've all had Mexican food and then done the deed.
Exactly. Taco Bell was a bad choice for this evening. Yeah.
Well, Sarah, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I have to say, take this to heart. You are one of the most talented people I've spoken to.
Oh,
I've been doing this for 11 years, and it is just a genuine joy to see someone who can meld comedy and music together and do it well. And I really hope that Don't Mess with the Redhead does numbers for you, and
thank you
the
so
right
much.
people see it, because like you said, if Rachel Bloom is somebody you look up to, you have hit it right on the head. That's just perfect.
Thank you so much. And it means a lot to me, especially coming from someone, who is so in depth in the comedy world. That's the scary part for me.
Mm,
I trying to get comedians and the world of comedy to look at me and be like, oh, she's funny.
yeah,
This is funny. So I very much appreciate it. Thank
yeah.
you.
You're very welcome. And again, congrats on the release. It's today.
Yes.
Fantastic. You just go out into this world and play some more dueling pianos and just continue being you.
Thank you so much, Chad. It was great meeting you.
It was nice meeting you too. Have a good rest of your day.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Bye.